Boy, we really have been putting off this episode, huh?
Yeah. There's no bit at the beginning of this one. Cue music.
Wait, why? I don't like that.
Okay.
Because I feel like the episode's already going to be so empty, and
it's gonna be a lightning round episode.
This is a soulless episode.
There's no soul in this episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our special Thanksgiving episode covering an episode of Avatar about polarization and pointless feuds where nothing is achieved and the points don't matter. That's right, folks. It's time for the Great Divide.
Just like the great divisions in our country that are separated.
Oof.
Our country's more divided than ever.
Yeah, I realized in the middle of watching...
This is such a relevant episode to today.
I realized in the middle of watching this that it makes me feel like it had the same kind of heart feel as spending time with family, and just that very tense feeling of like, oh, what now? Who's saying some shit now? Or just very on edge and stressed out and wanting to be anywhere else. So yeah, very appropriate episode for this Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, this is a Christmas episode now because it's Thanksgiving right now.
Shh.
And by the time...
We don't need our listeners to know how much we procrastinated this episode.
I mean, by the time it comes out, it'll be like Christmas season or holiday season.
Well, I hope we can kind of work through to the other side of that feeling today, since that's my goal for this podcast anyway, just like giving our listeners a fun, stress-free listening experience. I'm Summer.
I'm Noah.
You can sit back and relax. You're not watching that shitty episode. You're listening to My Podcabbages, and all of our content is pleasurable.
Happy Santa month.
Can we not?
Okay.
Fucking hate that guy.
He's nice.
Allegedly. Have you ever met him? I don't know if jolly and nice are the same thing. Jolly just means happy.
He's jolly, but
jolly is like
don't for
happy
a second
for
think
straights.
that he's good.
Yeah. So fun facts, this episode is the lowest rated episode on IMDb.
Are you just playing Pokemon Let's Go without even watching?
It's fine.
Okay.
This episode is the lowest rated episode on IMDb.
Wow. What's the rating?
You know, I didn't actually look it up. It's probably still pretty good. Well, maybe, actually.
Hey, Google. 7.2.
7.2 out of 10?
Yeah.
So that's still like passing, technically.
Sort of passing.
People really seem to hate it, not only because of its like weird political messages, but also just like the episode has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the plot of the show at all. It's just completely irrelevant in every way.
We can definitely get into why it's bad.
Yeah. I also found out that in the Ember Island play later in the show.
I knew this already.
You did?
Yeah. What is the Ember Island episode?
We'll get to it later, but it's just like they watch a play that's based on basically their adventures.
That sounds like a pretty meta episode.
Yeah. But yeah, so they fly right over the canyon in the play, like without stopping. Quote, highlighting the inconsequential nature of the episode's events. Like now that I think about it, in the episode, they make a big deal about like possibly being stuck in the canyon, but like Appa could have just come in and like flown everyone out, like a few people at a time or whatever.
Like when they got to the canyon wall at the very end of the episode.
Yeah, where was
like
Appa was allegedly up at the top.
Like he could have just been ferrying them up and down in like maybe less than an hour. They could have all been out there.
Well, anyway, this episode also...
He even has the bison whistle. Like,
yes, I know.
It's not like it's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
This episode also never appears in any of the previously ons for later episodes, which is pretty silly.
Yeah.
And then here's another fun fact I just thought of on my own with my very own neurons.
Wow.
This episode is just about like right in the middle of the season, so it's appropriately titled in that way too.
They had to have known that it was a bad episode that they put it right in the middle.
Yeah, it's like just kind of a throwaway spot.
Comedy routine formula.
So the episode starts with some Wild West ass music.
They're in Utah.
Yeah. Katara and Sokka are arguing about something, whatever.
They're making a tent, and it's like Katara's like, "Hey, put the tarp on top," and Sokka's like, "It's the dry season. It's gonna rain, but I want to talk about this because this is just." Sokka wants to use the tarp
as a blanket
because it's so comfy, and like if it's a soft tarp, then it wouldn't be good. The rain would just soak through.
Mm-hmm.
This caused me a lot of cognitive dissonance when I was watching this as a child.
There are some tarps, I will say. I think we had a tarp. Maybe I'm remembering this wrong now, but there are tarps that are like not furry, but like soft on the underside. So they like kind of insulate as they repel water. So
I see. The only crinkly blankets that I think that I know are good are like space blankets, just because they're like all foily and they just reflect heat somehow.
My brother, when he at his wedding, they got married in Seattle where it's just always raining. And it was like half of an outdoor wedding kind of, and all of the pictures were outdoors. So like for the whole time we were there, we were all just wearing space blankets.
Why didn't we have space blankets at our wedding?
Because it was indoors.
It was
in
space
a
themed,
reasonable.
It was in a planetarium.
Yeah,
we should have had space blankets just for fun.
We should have just like put the thermostat at like 50 and just had a table full of space blankets. Like you can use them if you want.
It's cold, just like outer space.
It's also a vacuum. Make sure you bring oxygen tank. Oh, and then I just also want to say, this just occurred to me. It doesn't rain in this fucking show. What is Katara concerned about?
Yeah, but that's part of the thing. It's like, oh, it's dry all the time, but Katara's like, well, just in case. And Sokka's
maybe we should call her Katarpa.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a great divide happening between us.
Why didn't you just laugh at my joke?
Because I was paying attention to the thing I was saying instead of listening to you. So say that again.
Katarpa.
There's so many like bad insults, not like rude insults, but just badly crafted insults in this show. And Katarpa would have been very good. Miss Know-It-All, Queen of the Twigs, Mr. Lazy Bum, King of the Tents, and Katarpa. It's right there.
It's right there. Aang shows up and Katara and Sokka continue their very immature argument, like right there in front of him. And Aang he's just like giggling. And he's like, okay, let's just figure this out. He says, harsh words won't solve problems. Action will. Probably the only good sort of takeaway from this episode is like this line that he uses a couple of times. Aang makes a point that he's the Avatar and it is his job to settle feuds and make peace. Momo and Appa are arguing also over some watermelon. Again, just very Thanksgiving spirit here.
Mm-hmm. Appa's taunting Momo by like holding his finger, just one finger on top of the watermelon.
Momo and Appa get that kind of, Aang sorts that out also.
He splits it by 4/5 to 1/5.
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned, like he solved Katara and Sokka's problem by just having them swap duties, which I thought was actually like a really good, clever idea, to be honest. I'm going to keep that in mind for when I'm leading a Lord of the Flies sort of situation. When one of my plane goes down. They approach the Grand Canyon. But it's called the Great Divide. Very clever. I mean, I can't really say that it's an uncreative name since ours is literally just the Grand Canyon.
That's true. And it's the largest canyon in the world.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Noah?
Yeah?
What do you call this?
A crayon.
You want to say that again in like a human voice?
A crayon.
That's
crayon.
That's really what you call it?
Yeah, a crayon. Crayon.
You really call it a crayon?
A crayon. Crayola crayons.
Not only like two syllables, but also like a hard cray.
Crayon. cray as in the cray button.
You just love to take your clothes off every time we record.
It's this computer generating so much heat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're like trying to seduce your computer, which also would not have surprised me.
Her, in parentheses, 2014. 2013?
Why would I know that? Crown is the correct answer.
Crown.
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 That's actually how I thought it was spelled before I actually learned how it was spelled when I was a small child.
You thought crayon was spelled
just crown.
Crown.
Same word, like homonyms. I just was curious because we've never had this discussion before. So I guess we have divided ourselves again. The word crayon looks a lot like the word canyon. I pronounced it that way just to draw the letters that they have in common. But it's a crown. It's a crown.
Crown. A crayon?
Yeah, I think
cranberries. Like Happy Thanksgiving.
I will say over the years, my pronunciation has devolved a little bit from crown to crayon. Crayon. Crayons.
Crayons.
God, why are we even talking about this?
Because we don't want to talk about this episode.
It's so true.
How do other people talk about bad shows?
I don't know.
We can't even talk about a bad episode.
I don't know. People love making
love.
podcasts about shows that are bad all the time, and y'all are fucking braver than any U.S. Marine. Like,
thank you.
You're really doing the Lord's work. I don't know how you do it.
Thank you for your service.
So this fella shows up.
Just some fancy rando.
And just yelling about something.
He's just saying some bullshit. And it's like, there's a canyon guy. And these canyon guy's an earthbender. Oh. And he's the best. And he drove me here.
And he sounds a lot like Sokka. Like every time I looked away, I was like, oh, that's just Sokka. But I tried to figure out who his voice actor was, and I couldn't find it out. But I found it out in the fucking avatarspirit.net forums. It's the same guy who voices Robin in the Teen Titans.
I get it now. That's where his voice is from.
Yeah.
He seems to be introduced as like an important person, and then he just goes into be a side character. We
never see him again. He looks like fucking Elrond from Lord of the Rings. This Elrond-looking ass fella. He explains that his group are refugees and they're traveling to Ba Sing Se.
Mm-hmm. And Sokka's like, calm down. And it's like, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't be calm, and the Fire Nation destroyed your home and forced you to flee, which is kind of what Sokka's situation kind of is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they're like humble enough to not be like, okay,
like,
well.
Sure, whatever.
And then another tribe shows up.
We hear muffled corn music playing from the distance.
Corn music?
Corn, like with a K.
Oh. Sorry, I'm just thinking about Thanksgiving.
Not like a bunch of pilgrims with banjos or something.
That's absolutely what I was thinking.
My favorite genre of music is corn.
Elrond really seems to hate them. He kind of taunts them as they approach, telling them that his tribe is going to be the ones that are going across the canyon first. But the leader of this tribe, called the Zhang tribe, the leader is not convinced since Elrond's tribe isn't even there yet. And these folks are, they really hate each other.
Yeah, this tribe is obviously very dirty and rowdy.
Yeah, there are a lot of rowdy boys.
They're all dressed like
dirty, rowdy boys.
Caveman people or something.
Very rough and tumble. The canyon guide does finally show up, and the Zhang tribe starts to go ahead with him. But then Elrond's Ganjin tribe shows up. They look very fancy and pompous.
They're fancy and clean.
There's more arguing.
They just argue with each other. Arguing. It's like, you're clean, I'm dirty. You're dirty, I'm clean.
I really don't want to get into specifics. Yeah. It's just annoying as hell. Katara's like, okay, Aang, now you can solve this dispute too. And Aang's like, this looks maybe like a little too complicated for my skill set. But Katara just fucking completely ignores him and calls out to get everyone's attention that Aang is the Avatar and he's going to help them come to a compromise.
Canyon Guy's the only earthbender here.
Yes. So they do need the guide because he can earthbend, and that's like an essential part of getting through the canyon, apparently. Mm-hmm. Aang tries to make like a very timid suggestion. It gets completely ignored. They all just keep arguing. So Aang's just like, okay, no more choices. You're all going through the canyon together, and I'll personally help transport your sick and elderly on Appa.
The fancy boys have elderly people, and the sick boys have the dirty boys have just a bunch of sick people.
It's the most unnecessary sentence you've ever spoken. And so begins the most pointless journey imaginable. Because again, they could just fucking go across on Appa just a little bit at a time. It would take us just a couple hours.
The Hobbit, a most pointless journey.
And then, very very contrary to the spirit of Thanksgiving, these travelers are told no food.
Ooh.
Yeah, the tour guide tells them that they're going to have to leave all of their food behind and just go the day without eating, or they'll be attacked by bugs or something. I'm sure these are just tiny, harmless little bugs, and I'm sure we won't have to worry about that.
Yeah. And
again.
everyone's like, oh no. Ah, darn it. I guess I'll just have to eat all my food and throw it out. Oh, no.
The guide leads them down into the canyon, and he's like bending little rock bridges and such as they go. He also shares some little facts and tidbits.
And he's like, many of you may be wondering how canyons are formed.
How Babby is formed.
How is canyon formed? How canyon get valley?
Apparently, the canyon was formed by angry earth spirits.
Hangry.
Who weren't appreciated enough.
He literally says hangry.
He does literally say. Not only does he literally say the word hangry, which was probably an accident, but then he goes on to explain that it was because
they were hangry at the farmers for not offering a proper sacrifice.
Yeah, so they were just hangry spirits.
Carved into the ground by earth spirits who were hangry.
This is also, I found out that this is the only time in the whole series, like the entire franchise, that earth spirits are mentioned, like as a concept.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting. It's the one
Sure.
and only time. As they go, the guide just kind of destroys his little paths behind him so that the Fire Nation can't follow them to like protect the refugees. And then something very bad happens. A bug shows up to bother these travelers. It is big. It is a big bug. It breaks the guide's arms.
And then leaves.
And shoot, now they're stuck in the canyon because apparently he can't earthbend now. Even though Noah
broke his arms. What?
Even though fucking the earthbender at the opening of the show, the one person that we see earthbending like arguably more than anyone else in the series, this earthbender is not using his arms at all to earthbend. So this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God, this episode is so bad.
It makes me think that he's like a shitty earthbender.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a drummer who doesn't actually use his wrists and like just uses like arms movements.
Maybe
and
he's
stuff.
like not even an earthbender. he's just getting help like the way that Katara was earthbending or something. And then his friends like had to fuck off because like there was like a party or something. And he's like, oh no, my arms. There's some more arguing.
Yeah, because he said, because like this wouldn't have happened if no one brought food. I guess someone's hiding food. And then they're like, you're hiding food.
Okay,
You're hiding food.
I don't even know why you're going into this stuff.
Because one of the insults they say is food hider, which is like you're just summarizing what you're saying.
That's what you could have said, just to summarize.
They're accusing each other of being food hiders.
Food hiders sounds like some weird like 80s or 90s book series.
My favorite band is the Food Hiders. The Food Hiders.
Oh my God. Whew. Okay. So Aang separates them and like assigns his buds to split up with them and gather the tea.
Sokka's assigned to dirty boys and Katara is assigned to fancy boys.
And like respectively, they get along with these tribes very, very well. They like really click. So like good thing they ended up where they did.
And they rehashed like the tarp thing. And he was like, we put the tarp over. And it was like, we put the tarp under. I'll use them as blankets.
We see both of the tribes pull out food. And they like just kind of justify it by saying like, well, no doubt the other tribe brought some too, so why should we bother throwing ours out?
It's like the split or steal game.
That is true. I didn't think of that.
Where it's like a big thing of money. Each person like bets at the same time. Like I'm gonna split this, and I'm gonna. I don't know if I should mention this. This is really wordy to put in a podcast, even though I literally just heard this from a podcast.
Wait, you never watched it?
I never actually watched Golden Balls.
Did you? But there was one episode where like someone...
That was what the Radio Lab was about.
Okay. Yeah. So you okay. Yeah. There was like one episode where everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
Here's what one of the tribes should have done. One of the tribes should have been like, I'm going to be bringing food into the canyon no matter what, and then insist on that for hours and hours and hours, and then they'll be like, fine, then I'll just...
No, you got to see this little emo family outside. Oh my God.
That's good. You can just cancel what I started saying because I went through it with my mind and it doesn't really pan out well, so...
Okay. I do want to say it is also very funny. It's the way that Katara sort of like pokes and prods, like pries this information out of the Gungeons, and then she like looks pretty affronted about them sneaking food in, and then meanwhile Sokka just absolutely does not care at all, or like he doesn't ask any questions, and just kind of happily takes his little turkey leg. Oh, it's a proper Thanksgiving meal after all.
Happy Thanksgiving. Just like Thanksgiving, both tribes have just very construed views about what happened historically.
That's a good point.
That's the true Thanksgiving spirit.
So I guess we have to talk about this ancient feud between the two tribes.
I guess it's important to the plot.
We learn about in this scene. So the leader of the Gungeons tells Katara that they used to have...
The Gungeons is the clean boys.
They used to have this old like Olympic-esque trial or ritual where one of their people, his name is Jin Wei, he would run a secret crystal orb from one gate to another gate, symbolizing a sun cycle or some shit. And apparently one of the Zhangs... Wei Jin, of course, intercepted Jin Wei and stole the orb for profit. By the way,
profit.
Wei Jin's name literally means Great Divide.
Wei Jin?
Great Divide.
What does Jin Wei mean?
Divide
great.
The Zhang leader tells Sokka essentially the same story, but in their version, Jin Wei was injured and Wei Jin stops to help him and return the orb to its proper place, but was falsely accused of trying to steal the orb and then imprisoned for 20 years. Okay.
That's all we need to know.
That is all we need to know. Aang is sitting up on a hill in the distance, and we see Momo eating a bug. A small bug.
He's not like by like the warmth or like any beds or anything.
Yeah, he is suffering for no reason.
It's because he's a radical centrist.
Oh God, you took my joke.
Yeah.
You took my joke. I already had it lined up.
I mean, we both technically took Josh Field's joke, which I don't know if it's in the first place.
I wasn't even thinking of that. I was just thinking about how... Yeah, okay, you know what? I'll just use my joke anyway.
Okay.
The guide shows up and he's like, lonely, isn't it? Being a noble centrist. So the guide suggests that they might need to like kumbaya to make it out of the canyon for some reason. But then in the next scene, it looks like they're pretty much out.
Yeah. Like they make it to the other side.
Like immediately after he's like, we're going to need to come together to make it. And then it just cuts to the next scene and they're like, all right, we made it. And then Aang asks his friends if they think that the two tribes can like cooperate long enough to get out of the canyon. And Katara looks like all indignant. She's like, I don't think so. So like, what? Are they just going to like live in the canyon now? Like...
Yeah, Katara and Sokka have been indoctrinated overnight.
Yeah, but it's just stupid that it's like they're almost out, and it's like, do you think we can cooperate long enough to get out? And Sokka,
like, it's right there.
Katara's like, no, no, we can't. This is a mess. Aang is brought up to speed on like the old feud between the tribes. He gathers everyone at the base of the canyon wall, and like it looks like they're all the way across. They just need to get up the wall now. So. More arguing.
We hear arguing crowd sounds coming from them, and
then Aang says, like again, just like the only politically relevant or helpful thing, which is just that harsh words won't solve problems. Action will.
Yeah, you just stop arguing and do something.
Do something. The tribes use this advice to just start attacking each other, though, like physically with swords and stuff.
Aang breaks up the fight by doing the windy thing.
It's like fucking like Moses at the Red Sea, like parting these
People.
parts, the arguers.
Their food flies.
Food flew. Aang is pissed.
Oh no, they're both
justifiably
bad.
so, yeah. And then bugs, more bugs, big ones again.
I hate big bugs.
Big bugs, yeah, big bugs are bad. I never really cared much like about bugs in general because most of them in the Pacific Northwest are pretty harmless. But I spent enough time in Florida now to know that some bugs should not be crossed.
Having been raised in Florida, there's nothing really wrong with living in like sort of a semi-tropical climate, but like bugs though.
Yeah, I really love, like I'm one of those weird people who really likes humidity, and like every time I would go to visit Noah in Florida, it was just really nice to have that moisturization. But I have to tell this story because it's so terrible.
While we're on the topic of big bugs.
Yeah, it's a quick one, but I was spending the night at Noah's house.
Maybe like actual trigger warning for people who like.
Oh yeah, if you don't like bugs, this is bad.
Maybe skip forward like.
It's not long. It's like
31 minute.
Okay. Now I have to fill a minute, but it's not a minute long.
Okay.
It's
30 seconds. Right now.
Okay, I have 30 seconds to tell the story.
Hey Google, set a timer for 30 seconds. Okay.
Okay, so I was sleeping at Noah's house, and I was asleep with my hand on the pillow next to my head. I woke up. I don't know if it was because I felt something or what it was, but I woke up and I looked at my hand and there was a huge fucking, apparently they're not roaches. They're like palmetto bugs.
Yeah.
But they're just monster roaches is what they are.
They're just roaches, but huge.
It was in my hand.
It was cuddling up in your hand.
Oh, that's it. Okay, welcome back.
Wow.
Whew.
Okay, Google, stop timer.
Tarmer.
Stop timer. Stop. Shut up.
Katarpa. Katara and Sokka make up really quick. And then they all ride the bugs out of the canyon.
Yeah, they do like the carrot and stick thing, but with all their food. They just bag up the food, put it on a stick, put it in front of the bugs, ride the bugs, and they just kind of crawl out of the canyon.
Yeah, so
they're good.
Exactly what I just said. They ride the bugs out of the canyon. At the top of the canyon, it looks like the two tribes are about to make up, but they don't.
They still hate each other because they stole our ball.
Yeah.
And there's like, you stole our ball. When we tried to return your ball, but you turned our jail.
But then wait, Aang realizes he knew these boys back in the day. There wasn't ever an actual dispute. They were just like little boys, brothers, even twins.
Yeah. And they were only like 8 years old.
And they were just playing a ball game called Redemption.
Just football.
It's just a little ball game. The two tribes are like floored by this information, and they do actually decide to make up, and they like all walk off into the sunset together with the canyon guide too, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to mention Aang says he knows all about this because he's 112 years old, but like the leader of the Ganjins like definitely looks like he could be that old.
He is very old looking. For some reason, they just believe that he's over 112 years old.
Don't dwell on that too much.
That's the least convincing thing, which is probably the only true thing that he said.
Yeah, Aang was lying apparently.
Wow.
He made this whole little story up.
Which is extremely valid because pretty sure he just lied just to get out of this fucking episode.
So true. Yeah, the moral of this episode is that all of your personal disputes can just be solved by lying.
Yeah.
Okay, like in some cases it's not actually wrong, I'll be honest. Like sometimes withholding truths is the best way to get along with people you would otherwise never be able to be in the same room with, and that's the fucking tea.
If you're forced to be with someone, sometimes
you have to just be dishonest. No one will tell you that when you're a kid because lying is just a blanket bad thing. But
sometimes you have to be dishonest or else you'll both be attacked by very large bugs.
Yeah.
This is like the end of the pirate episode. And it's like sometimes you just gotta steal things.
That's true. And Avatar is just like and then they're just incepting little kids with really bad ideas.
Sometimes you just gotta steal things. Sometimes you just gotta lie to people.
Okay. So 20 questions.
The answer to this question is the Canyon Guide's broken arms that get broken in this episode. They're his broken arms.
Is it a person?
Nope.
Can it be worn?
No.
Is it something exclusive to the Avatar universe?
Yes.
Is it only in this episode?
Yes. Like most things.
Is it something solid, made out of solid matter?
Yeah, I would describe it as solid. It is not a liquid, as in it does not take the shape of the container that it's in.
Is there only one thing, or is it multitudes?
It is a multitude.
Is it edible?
You can make it edible. It's more on the edible spectrum than it is on the non-edible spectrum.
Is it something I would prepare for Thanksgiving?
Definitely not you.
Ooh, so it's not vegan.
It is absolutely not vegan to eat.
Is it big?
They seem to be about normal size.
Normal size for what?
If you saw them, you wouldn't be like, ooh, these are big. And you wouldn't be like, ooh, these are small. Neither big nor small.
They're not human.
They're not human?
Wait, I said, is it a person?
It's not a person.
But they're like human?
Okay, they're not human. It is not.
I was like, what does a non-person human look like?
It's not a person.
Okay. Wait, what?
It is not a person.
Do you have to pee?
No,
Are you
I just
cold?
like to hold my hands.
Is it a group of people?
It's not a group of people.
Does it have anything to do with humans?
Yes.
Is it something that humans own or something that humans are? Oh, excuse me. That's not a yes or no. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is it something that humans own?
Yes, in a way.
Is it like a pet?
No,
So it is edible. It's not human. Is it plant-based?
it's not plant-based.
Is it animal-based?
It is animal-based.
But it's not a pet.
It's not a pet.
And it's not a human.
It's not a whole human.
Is it part of a human?
It is a part of a human.
Oh, you just gave it away. Oh, is it? Okay, I'm just gonna
Are you going to no-scope this?
no scope this. 360 no scope.
Okay.
Is it is it the guide's broken arms?
Yes.
So my thing for this part is my thinning patience about this fucking episode. Have fun listening to that.
Okay, you go.
I have a thing and it's a little abstract. So that's just your warning going into it. Go ahead.
Oh boy. Is this physical?
No.
Is this something that exists in people's minds?
Yes.
Is it emotional?
Yes.
Is it the feud between both of them?
No.
Is it constrained to a single person?
Yes.
Just one person in the episode?
Just one person.
Okay, just one person. Is it a political ideology?
No.
Okay. Is it, would you say it's an emotion?
Yes.
Is it a negative emotion?
Yes.
Would you say this emotion's sort of near the angry area?
It's around there.
It's around the angry area?
It's around there-ish.
Is it a hateful emotion?
A little bit.
A little bit. And only one of the characters is feeling this specific emotion that you're thinking of.
The verbiage of your question is not compatible.
Is it precisely an emotion of one of the characters?
Still got the verbiage wrong. Here we are again.
Is it a group of emotions by one of the characters?
You're focusing on the wrong, incorrect word, really.
Is it a thing
Nope.
that one
Nope.
of the characters thinks?
No.
Is it a set of things that one of the characters thinks?
There is a word you've been putting in every one of these questions that you have not even evaluated.
Is it a
Noah's swallowing his mic.
thing?
You haven't, there are a few
Is it
important things you haven't asked yet.
Things. Okay. Is this only in this episode?
No.
Is this something that one of the characters...
Okay, I'm going to go back, and I know this
Okay.
is cheating because it's not a
Okay.
yes or no answer, but it's specific to this episode, but it is not contained to the episode.
It is specific to this episode, but it actually... It's in this episode, but it's
It's
in
not
other...
in the episode.
It's not-
specific to the episode.
It's specific to this episode, but it's also an...
No,
No, it's not.
it's not in any other episodes or relevant to any other episodes.
It's not relevant to any other episodes.
Oh God, I'm breaking so many rules right now.
Okay. I need something concrete. So is it Sokka's feelings?
No.
Is it contained to Aang?
No.
Is it contained to Katara?
No.
Is it
You're thinking about this the wrong way.
it's specific to one person?
Yes.
It is specific. Is it a human character?
It's a human.
It's a human. Is this human even in the episode?
No.
They're not in the episode? Is it more about the idea of a human?
No.
Okay.
It's one specific person.
It centers around a specific person. Does it center around the Wajing and Jingujum?
No.
Jububu?
No.
What are their names?
The Zhang and the...
The Wajim...
I was going to say Gajin, but that's like the Japanese word for foreigner, so that would be really funny. Hang on. It is Gajin.
Oh, Gajin.
Which if you push those two words together, that's the Japanese word for foreigner.
Interesting.
So that's kind of funny. Yeah, the Zhang and the Gajins. Anyway, no.
Oh, I was thinking like the people.
Nope.
The orb carriers.
No.
Is it the referee panda?
No.
Okay. Does it have to do anything with the referee panda and that thing? Okay.
I tried to warn you that this was more abstract than you thought it would be, so...
I should have prepared beforehand, doing mental exercises, reading philosophy books.
Building your alar.
Yeah. It is specific to a character though, right?
No.
Wait.
I never said the word character.
It's specific to a human.
Yeah.
But this human is not in the episode.
Correct.
Are they, despite them not being in the episode, can you see any like visual? No.
Mm-mm.
Are they only in the episode by reference?
No.
People don't even reference them?
Correct. That would be really dope if they did, though.
But they're relevant to the episode.
They're not relevant to the episode. The thing that I'm thinking about is entirely specific to the episode.
But
the thing that I'm thinking about is not a person.
Is it only loosely connected to a human?
It's pretty directly connected. You already asked. I'm going to give you this because you already asked about it, but you already asked if it was like an idea.
Okay.
Yes, it's an idea.
It is it's an idea.
Or like a feeling.
Or a feeling.
An emotion.
It's an emotion that's close to anger. It's a negative, angry, hateful emotion.
Yeah.
And it's more connected to one human than more like a group of people.
I mean, other people probably feel it, but I'm thinking of specifically one.
Specific one. The answer to this question, does it have this human's name in the answer?
It depends on who says the phrase.
There's a phrase involved.
Yeah.
There's a phrasing. Is this a phrase that's said in the episode?
No.
It's never said in the episode?
It's not.
Does this more have to do with the real world surrounding the episode than within the in-universe canon?
Boy, it sure is beginning to apply to the real world. Am I right, listeners?
Is it the Great Divide?
No.
Okay. They're not the person is not referenced in the episode. Do you only find out with later episodes or earlier episodes?
You're thinking about this.
Okay.
You gotta think way outside the box, Noah.
Way outside the box. Does it have to do anything with the creation of the production of this episode?
Even farther outside the box.
Farther. Does it have to do with the audience reaction to this episode?
It's related to that, yes.
Okay, it's related to it's more related to the reaction than the production.
Yes.
After the episode is released, it's related to that.
But one specific person feeling one thing.
One specific person.
You might even say this person is in the same room as you.
Does it have to do with you?
Yes.
Is it your feelings towards this episode?
It's more specific than that.
Is it how much you hate this episode?
You know what?
Is it your boredom of the episode? Is it your procrastination of this episode?
Well,
is it?
I will give it to you because you were close enough, even though I fucking took your hand and led you there.
No, give me a hint.
It's just the phrasing of what you said is wrong, but I would have to just like give you letters like, okay, is there an H? Yes, there's an H. Can I buy a vowel? No.
Is it your hatred towards the episode?
No, it's my thinning patience.
It's your thinning patience. Wow, that's fitting.
I have some more questions. Some questions to go over.
Thank you for the immersive experience, Summer.
Yeah. You're welcome. So I was actually really lucky today in that I found an episode-specific forum discussion.
Interesting.
On avatarspirit.net for our questions today.
Nice.
You ready for those?
Yes.
Avatarspirit.net user Alpha asks, and why did he break his legs specifically?
His legs.
How did the bug do that? That's a very precise attack.
First of all, it was his arms, not his legs.
Oh, God!
Did you read it wrong or?
No, it says that.
Because
that's
he's
really
walking
funny.
Around in the episode.
Yeah, he did break his arms, so I'm not sure why this user asked legs.
Okay.
Just a mistake, probably.
Maybe. If you're wondering why he broke his arms specifically, it's because he had like a debt to pay and he was late and he's being hunted by the bug mafia.
The bugs took him for a long walk.
The bugs took him for a long walk and was like, those are some pretty nice arms of yours. I'd be ashamed if someone came and broke both of them.
I can't believe these bugs took away this man's Second Amendment rights.
The right to arms.
The right to arms. User Saka_Suki asks, so what's the point for this episode?
That's a good question.
It's a great question.
If I had to guess, it's...
Strike?
They
maybe?
had a writer's strike where like the interns had to write it.
I think
something.
I honestly believe they were going for some kind of like political... They were like politically motivated with the writing for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think they completely missed the mark.
I feel like there could have been like a few things, like it could have been more political and then got like really watered down.
I want everyone to know though that the creators are very well aware that it was a hated episode.
Yeah.
And they like refer to it as like not a popular episode.
Yeah. Another theory which seems more of how the episode feels is that this feels like a very rushed production sort of episode, like trying to meet a deadline, and it's like, oh, this episode that we've been pushing back forever and ever, and now we have a day to finish the script.
Mm-hmm.
And we have like weird plot points like a tarp is comfortable to sleep in and food stealers as an insult. We got to think of more insults and restating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. So the point of the episode is there isn't one. It's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
User Tongan asks, oh, this is something you asked earlier.
Okay.
How is it that two groups, which have been rivals for so long, take the word of a 12-year-old boy about what happened?
I have the same question.
Yeah, Noah asked the same thing. Well, I mean, like, it's probably because he's the Avatar.
Yeah, he's got those arrows and he's got windy thing.
Those really... Look, if I were alive at this time, I would, like, shave my head and tattoo myself so that people would just trust and follow me everywhere.
I don't know why people didn't do that. I feel like people have had to have done that. Like, identity theft must have been so easy.
I just got a notification on my phone that says, expect rain at 7 p.m. It's really ominous.
If I go to like Colorado or something and say like, hey, I'm John Quincy Adams, like no one can disprove me.
Yeah.
I could just say that and people could believe me for years.
But it worked because he's a very good liar.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing that I wanted to share. It's not a question, but
okay.
I just wanted to make sure that avatarspirit.net Zuko Alone 360 had their voice heard. Zuko Alone 360 said, I just wish it could have been funnier.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. No, I do have another question for you, though.
Okay.
What are your cabbages?
Miracle Whip, nakedwines.com, Experience Cloud, Kikoman USA, Devour Foods, Kraft, Michelin USA, Knob Creek, Chrysler, Mary Chrysler, Pedialyte US, Adobe Max, Macy's, Truth, Ora Ida Potatoes, Board Kings.
Orida?
Orida potatoes? Okay. It's like Ora-Ida potatoes.
Is it just O-R-E?
O-R-E, like Oregon, Idaho. So like
I think it's Orida.
Orida potatoes. Board Kings, Chevrolet, Canon USA Imaging, Lineage 2 Revolution, The Grinch, Intel Business, Origin, Ray, Nissan, The Favorite, Dyson, and 76.
My cabbages. Actually, those were our sponsors for this week. So
Thanks.
thank you guys.
Thank you so much for supporting the show.
Fuck capitalism, so I'm not going to go ahead and do any more of that.
Okay. The reasons that this episode is bad.
Okay.
I feel like we should talk about why this episode is bad.
Okay.
It's very wordy.
It is.
And it feels like a Star Wars prequel.
It does.
Everyone's just talking all the time and nothing happens.
It's true.
And it's just very bland dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And for a show that usually has a lot of attention to detail and like a lot of complexity within different cultures and stuff, it's weird that we have here just like sort of vague cultures that are just kind of stereotypes of people who are clean and fancy and people who are like just dirty and primitive. They're libertarians and conservatives. And I feel like it would have been like to be more fitting with what the show, like to actually fit in the show and feel more natural, or what I would expect from an episode is if they actually like showed people within the different sort of tribes who didn't quite agree with either of them, instead of both of them just acting as like homogenous sort of groups.
Do you have a lot more things in this list?
Really quick. No Appa or Momo.
This is just such a downer though.
Okay, there's barely any Appa or Momo. No Zuko, no Iroh, barely any Aang. Characters are one-dimensional, and it's mostly just restating information over and over again.
Just like this podcast. One last thing, of course, as always, you can find me on Twitter at Stellar Ghost, Tumblr, Interstellar Princess. My art blog also on Tumblr is Summer Art, but you can also get there by going to summergeist.art. And then please do, if you have a spare $1 or $2, feel free to support my various creative endeavors on Patreon, patreon.com/summergeist.
My name's Noah Geist. You can find me at Twitter and Tumblr at OwlDude, same name for each. I have music stuff, which you can find at noahdoesmusic.tumblr.com or just noahgeist.bandcamp.com. Is that how it is?
I guess.
Bandcamp.com/Noah Geist.
I think it's... now I don't know.
You can figure it out. Try both. Let me know.
And then, of course, also noisepace.xyz, where you can find all of the other wonderful Noisepace podcasts. And this week's special shout out to Pot of Greed, a podcast friend of the network, if you want to call it that. Thank you, Sarah, for your... Sarah shared with me a fun PDF of all of the artwork of the animated series. Well, go listen to Pot of Greed. And them's the cabbages. We're just going to keep it short this week.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Stay tuned after the music, though, because I'm sure there'll be something fun. There always is.
Yeah.
Cabbage.
I need to leave a sweetener here. I need a fucking palate cleanser. That's what our endings are for.
Okay.
So, do you have anything?
Hey, Google, give me a fun fact.
I read on Wikipedia that Jay-Z's real name is Sean Corey Carter. Growing up in Brooklyn,
everybody knows this. Jazzy. Hey Google, give me a cabbage recipe.
Okay, I've got a recipe called Southern Cabbage from Divas Can Cook. Does that sound good?
No. Hey Google.
No problem. To choose a different one, just use Google search to find a recipe on your phone and tap the Send to Google Home button below it.
Did our Google Home just tell us to like just fucking Google it?
I don't understand.
Hey, Google. Fuck you.
Sorry if I upset you.
Here's a shout out to everyone. If you have a Spotify family plan, they just give you a free Google
Oh,
Home.
yeah. We got just a Google Home for free.
Just because
We've
we
had
live
so much fun with it.
just because we live together and we have a Spotify family plan.
Yeah. Hey, Google, tell me something about cabbages.
According to Wikipedia, cabbage or headed cabbage is a leafy green, red, or white biennial plant grown as an annual vegetable crop for its dense-leaved heads.
There's red cabbage out there.
Damn. Well,
Show me the echo fighter of the cabbage guy who's
Hey.
red.
hey, Google,
Summer, she's asleep.
show me the echo fighter of the cabbage guy who's red.